Hello! Hi. Yes, hello. So, I just got back from holiday. A holiday that I enjoyed very much. And now I've got to go back to work in 7 hours. To continue the grind with no holiday in sight for 6 months. And it occurred to me that it would be super awesome if I didn't have to do that. So, yeah, I'm monetizing my videos now. I never said I wouldn't, after all. I just saved you the annoyance of all the commercials. As a continuing gesture of goodwill. But it's come to the point where I might be able to make enough money to quit my day job and make this my only pursuit. That way I can devote my time to producing the content that you all seem to enjoy so much. I was hoping someone would come along and make this decision for me by doxing me and getting me fired, but gosh darn it, you know, you're all a bunch of wet flakes and I've got to do this by myself. And also, now is an ironic time to do this, in the advent of YouTube Red. I am staying on good old-fashioned YouTube Black, and I'm upping my game. So yeah, onward and upward. Let's get a wriggle on. In the meantime, I think it's time for another masterpiece, don't you? I have a special guest on the line, a Mr. David Futrelle. How you doing, Dave?
Well, sure, I'm really glad to be on. I guess this is the first time we've actually spoken to each other.
I think it might be the first time you've ever actually spoken to a men's rights advocate, Dave. This isn't even happening.
So you're moving to an isolated location in Siberia with no internet access, is what I understand?
Please don't threaten me. Why don't you go ahead and tell us what you do, Dave?
It's what I call the new misogyny online. It's a fairly widespread movement, and though the people who are involved in it may call themselves different things,
it's all just misogyny, right? Everything except you. Like, fuck, there's one individual out there who doesn't treat women like points in a gigantic game of moral strip poker. You're a fucking hero.
And someone who's an MRA or men's rights activist may be shocked and horrified if you suggest that they have anything in common with pickup artists. But the fact is they share probably about 90% of their beliefs.
Oh, so that's what a fact is. I had it completely wrong. Okay, so the fact of the matter is that feminists share 90% of the same beliefs as Nazis. Sorry, I mean the same facts as Nazis.
It's this weird and very elaborate misogynistic belief system.
Yeah, they're all the same. MRAs, MGTOWs, PUAs, anti-feminists, all basically the same thing. See, PUAs, the men who are collectively interested in courting women, are the same as MGTOW, the men who are collectively disinterested in courting women. And they're both the same as the men and women who advocate for the human rights of men. And they're all the same as the men and women who aren't interested in any of these things, collectively or individually, but are outspoken opponents of feminism. What does that leave us with, David? Who's left on Team Doesn't Hate Women? It leaves us with feminists who completely oppose the human rights of men in any given situation and have no interest in courting women or not courting women. Oh wait, David, that leaves us with not one fucking person who ever lived. Apparently in your world, to know women is to hate them. So every soul on earth who is aware of the existence of women is a misogynist. Although, I guess, maybe if you grow a lump of human flesh in a bubble, completely detached from the nature of their species and with no idea what a woman even is, maybe that individual is not a misogynist. Congratulations, David.
With its own sort of language and folk beliefs and mythology, most of which is completely false.
Ah, yes. Mythological folklore. Oh, you never mind the Muslims with their Book of the Sword. Never mind the native aborigines of any given country and their explicit creation theologies. Never mind patriarchy. After all, it's a given fact that patriarchy exists. What we need to worry about is the non-feminist Iliad, with its tales of giant one-eyed sentencing disparities and this ethereal ectoplasm we called suicide rates.
So I've been basically tracking them for 5 years.
What's the difference between stalking and tracking? Is it the same as the difference between trolling and cajoling? Yeah, is it the same as the difference between doxing and freedom fighting? Namely, when you do a bad thing, is a good thing.
And documenting the things that they say, and on rare occasions the things that they do, because they don't actually do very much.
Shit! Okay, I guess we should do something. Let's go! Oh crap, we've been banned from doing anything. Because of the lies told in the press by opportunistic moral bullies like you. You're a fucking psycho, Futrelle. Anyone who can chain someone to the floor and then call them a lazy motherfucker for not moving is a straight up fucking psycho. No two ways, Dave. Mental, wrong in the fucking head, should be put away in a padded cell in the central tower of an ancient dungeon and poked with surgical implements until his slow death. You understand?
Yeah, and making fun of them when it's appropriate, and, sort of being appalled by them when it's appropriate.
Yes, when the government robs a man of his children, and his home, and his job, and his reproductive autonomy, and his skin, it is appropriate to make fun of him, because it's funny. When he tries to do anything about it, when he tries to prevent these things from happening to other men, it is appropriate to be appalled at him. Ha ha! I chained you to the floor, you moron! Hey, why are you violently flailing around? You appalling scum! And for me, to make fun of you for doing all of these things, David, is, of course, harassment.
If when you're walking down the street, in any group of 5 guys...
Yeah, you line their dicks up and suck them off like spinning plates until you're famous.
You see is 1 or 2 of them are secretly a men's rights activist and who believes all this. I mean...
Good question. Test it out, folks. When you see 5 guys on the street, ask them all, is it okay to mutilate the genitals of babies? And it's very possible that 2 of them will have the misogynistic hubris to say no. Give them hell, Dave.
You can see this in the discussions of the shooter in Oregon.
Which one was that? Was that Elliot Rodger?
And the idea that the shooting was sort of the beginning of a beta male revolution.
So, if someone on the internet spreads the completely unfounded rumour that a mass murder was inspired by a group of worthless and unspeakable men, that would be a bad thing to do. Is that what you're saying? Well, given the complete lack of evidence you just gave, I'm going to be just as courteous when I go ahead and point out that you, David, stood on the still warm bodies of 6 murder victims and used them as soapboxes to make Elliot Rodger famous, for the sole purpose of erroneously demonizing the human rights of half the population and anyone who advocates for them. And you were successful in this endeavour with flying colours. You are helping to bring fewer human rights to the world and more mass murderers. Once the dust has settled, David, this will go down in history as one of the most despicable and irresponsible acts of religious hatred ever committed. You put to shame anything ever attempted by the Nazi propaganda machine, both in scale and in sheer apocalyptic misanthropy. But your name will not go down in history. Only your actions will. Nobody quite knows exactly who told the Young Turks to massacre the Armenians. It took the best part of a century for the public to even acknowledge that it happened. But the truth will out. You will never be famous, David. Not for the laughable embarrassment of your failed Hollywood career, and not for the anti-humanitarian shit-farming into which you subsequently descended. History will not remember the horribly mutated pollywog known as David Futrelle, but it will remember the swamp that you called your home.
And we're going to hear more about that, I'm sure, as the months go by.
We most certainly are, and I look forward to hearing you splutter your way through every second of it.
Yeah, I mean, I think that the trolling is becoming more nihilistic, and, and the trolling is becoming more, 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 more,
For a second there, I thought you were going to say nihilistic. As in annihilate. It's not pronounced annihilate. But instead, you said neolistic, which is defined in the Urban Dictionary as idealistic enough to imagine a magnificent future, but at the same time realistic enough to balance that with the processes that lead to positive change. Many thanks for the compliment. And if you're looking for nihilism, keep an eye out for the people who think all sex is rape, and all of human history is oppressive, and everyone in the fucking world is a misogynist except me.
And I guess you'd call it darker now than it has been.
Racist.
They will, arrange to have SWAT teams show up at people's houses.
Futrelle, you take shit sprinkling to a level beyond art and into the realm of world building. Listen to this shit.
And we'll launch campaigns to ruin the reputation of people that they don't like.
To reiterate, men's rights advocates advocate for the rights of men. Pick-up artists try to pick up women, and men who go their own way go their own way. Trying to ruin people's lives and careers and get them arrested in the name of social justice is what you do.
The other thing that's happening that kind of is a similarly disturbing trend is basically the spread of a lot of white supremacist ideas.
Yes, there's a large faction of people out there who think that all of the problems faced by women and minorities can only be fixed by white men. It's called intersectional feminism.
A men's rights activist is someone who has convinced himself
or herself, David. You can name several female MRAs. You know they exist. You have attempted to do little exposés on at least one of them, but you still blindly insist that only men can be MRAs, that women are not up to this task. You've just shown us luminescent evidence that you will erase your memory and pour reality down the drain for the sake of denying women the roles they wish to take on. You will erase half a population from existence for the sake of crippling the other half. In either direction. I don't know the exact word for that, David, but I'm going with misanthropy. You do not give a fuck about any humans. Probably not even yourself.
That that the male gender is the gender that's truly oppressed these days.
Do you think women are oppressed, David? Do you think women are oppressed? Yes or no? Because I would certainly not commit to saying men are oppressed. Unless we're defining oppression as unequal treatment under the law. And even then, I would rather just call it unequal treatment under the law. Oppression is a term almost always used by the people doing the oppressing. The people saying, you're not allowed your children because you're an oppressor. You're not allowed to have sex because you're an oppressor. You're not allowed to have a skin there because you're an oppressor. And you have to give your wages to the people you're oppressing, or we'll throw you in prison. Now, David, can you go ahead and talk about men's rights advocates and what makes them different from feminists?
These are the guys who will actually occasionally talk about, like public policy issues or, bring up things that are actually, real things happening in the world.
Good skills, Dave.
Though they do so in a very weird and distorted way.
Yeah, that's a Google Hangout issue. Or maybe there's a bird on the line. Check your connection.
The part of their name that's a real misnomer, though, is the activist part.
Advocate, David. An advocate is anyone who is in favour of something. Just like supporter, or defender, or follower, or proponent, or parakeet. It's any word that means the opposite of opposition. But they're all unimportant here, because it doesn't matter if someone calls themselves a men's rights supporter, or a men's rights defender, or a men's rights follower, or a men's rights proponent, or a men's rights paraclete, or a men's rights parakeet. None of these things are permitted, are they, David? According to you and your ideology and your mythology, no one is allowed to be anything in relation to men's rights except a men's rights opponent.
Because they essentially do no activism beyond yelling at people online and invading comment sections.
So they don't do anything in the real world?
And occasionally they will go out in the real world.
Everything you say is redundant. You are redundant.
And post inflammatory posters.
That is activism, you stupid fuck! Like I said, for you, the impossibly controversial word is whatever word comes after men's rights. If you're a supporter of men's rights, you're not a supporter of men's rights. If you're an activist of men's rights, you're not an activist of men's rights, because men's rights does not exist. It's just called misogyny. Come to think of it, even a men's rights opponent does not exist. If you oppose men's rights, you're usually called a feminist. Or a MGTOW.
I mean, I've been writing about them for 5 years now, and in those 5 years...
You've done nothing but lie and deceive and weave whatever propaganda is necessary to prevent them from doing anything of value for men who are struggling.
In the U.S., I think it's safe to say that men's rights activists have accomplished literally nothing of value for men who were struggling.
You would love to think that's true, wouldn't you? Because that would be your mission accomplished for another day. But it's not true. Men's rights advocates have already accomplished the arduous task of making men's rights a thing recognisable by some of the public as a component of egalitarian humanism. Through all the lies and bullshit you people have spewed about men being not synonymous with human but synonymous with hate, men's rights advocates, through patient and passionate use of words and open dialogue, have finally, after all these centuries, managed to poke a pinhole in the smothering tarpaulin of your staunch intolerance. And that pinhole is going to grow, slowly but surely, until we can all breathe again. In the meantime, David, one other thing they've done is give you something to occupy your cashew nut-sized brain for 5 years and counting, to help take your mind off the eternal loneliness. You're welcome.
In Canada, they've organized one small men's center in one town.
I mean, it's quite a feat in itself to have created a men's centre using nothing but misogyny and white supremacy. Don't you think? Should this men's centre be shut down because of the bigoted blood money used to build it? Or do men's rights advocates actually indeed do things for the benefit of men? In the odd, wild occasion in which they can make it past the obstacle course of lies erected in their path by charlatans like you? Okay, so you've completely fucked up your description of men's rights advocates. What do you know about PUAs?
That pickup artist kind of started in the early 2000s.
Was the early 2000s the first time men began discussing how to court the affections of women? Or was that just roundabout when society decided that courting women is misogynistic?
The idea there was that they had a set of techniques, some of them based on, weird forms of hypnosis.
Yeah. All glory to the hypno PUA. You need to make your mind up here, Dave. Are pickup artists all talentless, dick-brained losers, or are they Darren fucking Brown?
Stuff that pickup artists have come up with to try to get women into bed.
Imagine that! Men trying to copulate with women by talking to them. What fresh hell is this? Are you going to discuss the women who talk amongst themselves about how to attract a man? Sometimes using hypnosis. Oh wait, that's just a misogynistic, harebrained conspiracy theory, isn't it? Women using hypnosis on men. It's absurd. Men are the ones who are smart enough to learn hypnotic techniques. And women are the ones who are so gullible and stupid that their eyes will roll back in their head and they'll slip into a catatonic state as soon as you administer a neg. You know the difference between PUAs and you, Dave. PUAs try to win the affections of individual women through acknowledgement of their personhood and the workings of their minds, whereas you try to win the affections of an amorphous concept of all womanhood by telling women that they're too weak and stupid to resist the superhuman psychic powers of sleazy barflies. Oh, that and PUAs occasionally succeed. All right, so what do you know about MGTOW?
And going their own way have a big community on YouTube, and people are talking about them more and more.
Yes. Unlike the men's rights movement, MGTOW is actually palatable to at least some small corners of the press. I recently did an interview for a national newspaper about my status as a MGTOW. No one from the press has ever come to talk to me about men's human rights, which is just as well, because if a journalist writes anything positive, or indeed neutral, about men's human rights, they will very, very probably get hounded out of their job and possibly the country. If you say you're a MGTOW, you'll often, if not usually, get the response, okay, so why are you MGTOW? What set you on this path? What is the MGTOW community like? And so on. Whereas if you say you advocate for the human rights of men, you'll get the response, shut up and fuck off forever, you whiny, childish, dangerous fascist. You hate women, la la la, I'm not listening. And so on. And furthermore, if you call yourself a MGTOW, and only a MGTOW, and you say some shit like, men are oppressed by pornography and prostitution, women aren't human, we should reduce the female population, and so on, then the response you will get will usually be a headline something like, MRA demands female genocide. The reverse does not happen. If you call yourself an MRA and only an MRA, and you say things like that, the headline will be the same. It will not get wormholed into MGTOW claims so-and-so, or PUA claims so-and-so. No MRA ever does say these things, by the way. Please prove me wrong. For the love of fuck, prove me wrong. Show me an MRA saying any of that barking mad bollocks. Just once. No one ever has. And yet everyone in the press is determined to paint the men's rights advocates with every stupid thing said by genuinely insane people in the manosphere. Every fucking one. Because MRAs are actually challenging the status quo of centuries. They're actually trying to dismantle the machine that runs the empire. They are suggesting that men can be just as vulnerable as women. And that women can and should be just as responsible as men. This pisses everyone off. Even the rest of the manosphere. And it's why PUAs and MGTOW are so popular compared with MRAs. Because PUAs and MGTOWs are yet more of the same flavours in the ancient dogmatic custom of women cannot sort shit out for themselves, so men have to fix everything. And by all means, if anyone feels like throwing stones at that from the basement of your glass house, be my guest. I am an egalitarian humanist. And I tell the truth. That's why I'm a men's rights advocate, as well as a women's rights advocate. Because women's rights and men's rights are the two necessary ingredients of gender egalitarian humanism. I do not tell lies like, I have porridge but I have no oats. I do not tell lies like, this drink is a screwdriver but it contains no vodka. I do not tell lies like, I am an egalitarian humanist but I'm not a men's rights advocate. I tell the truth. And this is a truth that even pisses off the moderate anti-feminist non-MRAs who think they're the omniscient zenith of the horseshoe, because they like to think they tell the truth. They don't like being reminded that they tell the same lie that everyone has been telling for centuries, that being an egalitarian humanist means supporting women's rights but not men's. And I don't care how pissed off they are at me right now. You deserve to be pissed off. You are liars. Stop lying or have fun being pissed off at the truth.
what the movement is about, essentially, is men saying that they don't need women.
Yes. Fish don't need bicycles. Had it ever occurred to you that bicycles don't need fish either?
And that women are a bunch of dirty whores.
We're not the ones calling women fish! Or men bicycles.
They spend virtually all their time online complaining about women. I mean,
and you spend virtually all your time online complaining about men. To remind you of the pecking order, complain exclusively about women, and it's tell me more. Complain exclusively about men, and it's my God, you're a humanitarian genius! Here, have tenure! Complain inclusively about human rights violations, and it's you are the fucking devil.
they actually probably talk more about women than the editors of Ms. Magazine.
Yes, because the editors of Ms. Magazine are too busy talking about men! Are you seeing how it works yet, Dave? Some people in this world have nothing to do with their lives other than complain about the machinations of a single gender.
If it were defined that way, I mean, I guess I would consider myself a man going my own way.
I'd like to think you're learning something, but it's better news than that. You're helping other people to learn something. So, Dave, me old mucker, you've talked about MRAs, you've talked about PUAs, you've talked about MGTOW. Now, talk about feminists for a bit, eh?
They don't go anywhere. They're tied to women by this hatred. But it's a hatred. It's a hatred mixed with desire, and that's what I think gives it its sort of added nasty punch.
You're very insightful once you're upside down and being dangled out of a 10th-story window.
This kind of sexual frustration is actually a major part of the motivation for not just men going their own way and obviously the pickup artists, but also for a lot of men's rights activists.
It's way bigger than that, Dave. It's all kinds of people. The collective delusional sexual frustration cultivated by feminists and projected on the rest of the world has created several generations of just useless, skinless, hypersensitive, authoritarian cunts who are going to crash the Western world into Orwellian oblivion if we let them. Anti-feminism is growing way faster than feminism at this point. It's not just truth-telling egalitarian humanists like me. Even the liars are cottoning on, and one by one they're finally giving up on the lying. Most of them are still mashing their triggered face against the screen, shouting, "I'm not an MRA!" But they are at least advocating for men's rights. They're blockheadedly lying about that obvious fact about themselves, but they're finally coming round and admitting things like, yes, men deserve the due process of innocent until proven guilty, but the gynocentric bug in their brain still reels them back, going, but that doesn't mean I'm a men's rights advocate! Because men's rights isn't a category of human rights like women's rights. Men's rights is just a group on the internet that I'm totally not part of! Indeed. Indeed, indeed.
And that's why there's so much focus on the alleged evils of false rape accusations.
Yes. Thanks to the yes means yes policy of enthusiastic consent, a woman can rape a man and then charge him with rape because he didn't get her ongoing enthusiastic consent. He didn't get the enthusiastic consent of his rapist. Therefore, he's a rapist. I mean, whereas if a man has sex with a woman who is able to remember and identify him, every time a man has sex with a woman who is able to remember and identify him, he risks being charged with rape. I mean, what logically follows from this, Dave?
They can't date rape. They're never going to have sex. And so they get frustrated and angry.
Yeah. You are taking hookup culture and cleansing it free of everyone who is not a rapist. Which is exactly what you want. Because then your prophecy of rape culture comes true. And you get to use it as a hand-winning bargaining chip in your seedy game of moral strip poker. You are probably the worst human being who ever lived. I reached this conclusion through Kant's categorical imperative. If every human were like Genghis Khan, we would be in a rather turbulent state of anarchy. And if every human were like Helen Keller, our civilization would have a rather lackluster infrastructure. But you are that special combination of unspeakably evil and bereft of any sensory competence. If every human were like you, we would not even be a civilization. We would still be a puddle of primordial protoplasm that can't do anything except fart itself inside out over and over again for eternity. All the while blaming the smell on the machinations of complex eukaryote colonies that don't even exist. If you were God, you would piss out the fire of the universe before you'd even built it, and you would blame its destruction on men. You are a toad's toad. A wart on a wart. An undrainable pus-filled abscess within an undrainable pus-filled abscess. You are a piece of your own arse, glued onto a wedding cake and hung upside down in a sewer. You are a nodule of shit. You are a surgically removed bollock. You are 13 different, unidentifiable kingdoms of organism found lodged in the colon of a dead gimp. You are... Oh, I think that's all the time we have. Thanks for joining us, Dave. It's been magical.
Thanks very much.
Goodbye. And fuck.